In Pasadena, in 1969, a young Mexican couple rushes to the home of medium Sean Sandina. Their son had stolen jewelry from a group of gypsies 3 days earlier, and has been complaining of seeing and hearing things that are not part of this world ever since. Sandina is attempting to assist the boy in a seance, but she and the boy's parents can only watch in horror as the boy is thrown from the balcony by an unseen force before being pulled into hell by demonic hands. The spirituality will encounter this demon again one day.
Vamos a encontrar nuevamente. Sí.
40 years later, Christine Brown, a loan officer, desperately needs to be promoted to assistant manager. Christine's boss informs her that the job has come down to her and Stu Rubin. He encourages her to demonstrate that she can take difficult decisions. Christine visits her boyfriend, Professor Clay Dalton. Christine gives Dalton a rare coin she found at the office that was in circulation. Clay wraps it in an envelope and puts it in his bag. Clay's mother calls and tries to set Clay up with a girl she thinks is better for Clay than Christine when she leaves. Christine hears this from the hall and leaves disappointed, afraid that she isn't enough to get what she wants, the job. Christine returns to work and sees Stu bribe Mr. Jacks with Lakers tickets. Mrs. Ganush, an elderly gypsy woman, asks for a third extension on her mortgage later that day because she is having economic difficulties as a result of a disease. Christine refuses Mrs. Ganush's extension to prove herself to Mr. Jack. Mrs. Ganush prostrates herself, begging and kissing the hem of her skirt. Christine panics and shoves the woman away while requesting safety and ridiculing her in public. When Christine tries to approach Mrs. Ganush and try to assault her, Mr. Jacks compliments Christine on her handling of the situation as security guards accompany her out, saying that if she closes another big loan, she will be her assistant manager position. She gets to her car and sees Mrs. Ganush's car parked across from her own. Christine is frightened when she gets in her car and Mrs. Ganush's scarf is blown onto the windshield. Christine turns around to follow the scarf and sees Mrs. Ganush behind her. Mrs. Ganush attacks and the two fight. Christine is able to lock Ganush out of her vehicle. Christine screams, "I beat you, bitch." Mrs. Ganush breaks the window with a cinder block and drags Christine out. Ganush removes a button from Christine's coat and mutters an incantation before reversing the button and disappearing. Clay arrives to drive her home after the police arrive to look at the incident. Christine hears a strange scream on the way and decides she wants to get her fortune told. Clay is pessimistic about the fortune teller's legitimacy and trades jabs with the spiritualist Ram James. Ram claims that hell read her fortune for $60. Ram is disturbed by the demon's mental appearance, which brings him to an end the session. He earns Christine's trust by telling her that he knows about the button.
You work with money, and you've recently lost something. No, you haven't lost anything. Something's been taken from you. A button.
Clay drives Christine home and then leaves to get something from his office. When Clay left, Christine bakes a cake. She sees a picture of her winning a dessert competition as a child, and she is a lot overweight. She crumples up the photo and throws it out. Her gate starts to creak. All the lights go out while still baking, and she sees a silhouette of a goat's head on the wall. Clay returns home. They then contact the psychologist when she insists that no one assaulted her. Christine calms down. After a quick visit from a psychologist, she has a disturbing dream of seeing a fly and being attacked by Ganush. Christine woke up screaming, alarming Clay. Christine says it was just a dream. Christine is approached by Stu at work about the branch's loan guidelines. As she begins to explain, she has a flashback to Ganoush's visit. But she is met with a bloody nose, which then turns into a hemorrhage that covers Mr. Jack's in blood. Christine leaves the bank, and Stu steals the files for the big loan Christine is working on.
What is with you? Did I get anything?
I'm so sorry!
After finding the address from Ganoush's papers, Christine goes to the house of Ganoush's granddaughter. Christine says she would like to make it right. Granddaughter welcomes her and tells her to go down the hall to the left. Christine comes into contact with a group of gypsies sitting around eating together and sees that this is the wake of Ganoush. Christine falls on the body, which then rolls and spews embalming fluid all over Christine's face. Christine deserves what is coming for her, according to her granddaughter.
Still going to make everything alright for her? You deserve everything that is coming to you.
Christine returns to Ram. Ram informs her that the Lamia is the demon that is coming for her. Ganoush cursed the butt, and the Lamia comes to steal soul in 3 days. Suspects that a sacrifice to appease the Lamia may be enough to convince the demon not to take her soul. He gives Christine a book on animal sacrifices, but she insists he won't do it. When the Lamia comes for you, you will be surprised at what you will be able to do. Christine returns home and is stalked by the Lamia's shadow. It comes for her and throws her around the room, throwing her against a few walls, before throwing Christine into her dresser. Christine freaks out and grabs a kitchen knife and calls for her kitten. When Clay arrives, Christine is burying her dead kitten. Clay asks Christine why she has blood on her arm, but Christine dismisses it and assures Clay that everything is fine now. They go to Clay's parents' house to eat dinner. Christine gives them a harvest cake that she learned how to make when she was growing up on a farm. She reveals that she does not talk to her mother because her mother became an alcoholic and doesn't want to see anyone after her father's death. Clay's mother is enthralled by this, because her father was also an alcoholic, but she never told anyone. The group enjoys the cake, but Christine begins to see an eyeball in hers. She stabs it and it bleeds, and she fakes putting a piece of cake in her mouth to put on a show, but she then coughs up the fly from her nightmare. Clay's parents, who believe the cake has flies in it, are outraged by this. The Lamia starts to bang on the door, causing Christine to panic. Christine leaves it. Parents tell him he can't help her because she's sick.
Yeah, we got married, but we set up the date.
Oh my god! I hear you! Just leave the hell alone! She's a sick girl. Let her go.
Christine consults Ram James again, who informs her that there is one person who can help her fight the Lamia, but that this person will only do so for $10,000. She talks to Mr. Jacks to request a $10,000 advance on the assistant manager position, but Mr. Jacks informs her that the loan she was working on fell through because another bank was able to undercut them. He informs her he will have to look at it and then gives Stu the assistant manager position. She leaves the office upset and goes home. Christine immediately purchases everything she has of value to sell, but only receives $3,800. Clay arrives at her house to find her savoring a pint of ice cream. He tells her that he swore he would do everything possible to protect her. Clay drives her to Sean Sandana's house, and Christine goes in alone. Sean wants to hold a seance to bring the spirit into the physical world in order to kill it. Sean's assistant brings a goat into the room so they can push the Lamia into it. Christine is told by Sean that once Sean is possessed, she must hold her hand on the goat to pull the Lamia out. The meeting begins with Sean, Ram, Christine, and the assistant. An incantation to bring it forth, but they do manage to summon a group of lost souls. Sean banishes them before realizing that the Lamia is approaching. Sean is present in the Lamia and he addresses the group. It informs them that it will take Christine to hell, where it will feast on her soul. Christine grabs Sean's hand and pushes it against the goat. Christine goes to help the assistant. He is the new host. Ram is knocked out by a chair. It erupts into flames and dances over the table. It tells Christine to be savoring on her soul. Sean breaks out of her trance and uses a powerful incantation to banish the Lamia from the seance. She collapses and dies immediately after.
Sean Sandana!
You must banish the spirits!
Porque le está llegando el demonio. La sangre del cordero. Lo venceremos.
He informs her that the Lamia has not been banished and that Sean's death shows that nothing can stop her from being banished. Ram informs her that the Lamia is coming for the button's owner, and that her only wish is to make a gift of it. He takes out an envelope and seals it with the button. Clay's car comes to a halt and Christine gets up and tells him it's over. They almost hit an old man, who appears to Christine as Ganache, and the old man warns Christine that she is going to hell. Christine drops the envelope with the button. When Christine can't find it, she grabs the envelope with a circular shape inside. Clay drops her off at home and tells her to meet him at the train station so they can go to his parents' cabin. She goes to a late-night diner and drinks a ton of caffeine and decides who to give the button to. She calls Stu and tells him to meet her, otherwise she'll tells Mr. Jacks that Stu gave her loan papers to the other bank. He meets her and asks her not to tell Mr. Jacks. She is about to give him the button, but he refuses. Christine asks Ram if the cursed object can be transferred to the dead. Ram claims that although gypsies send good luck wishes to the dead, formal offerings are made. He says, yes, digs up Ganache. She takes the envelope, makes a formal offer, and shoves it down Ganache's throat. Christine almost drowns when the rain fills the grave, but she makes it through. Christine goes to meet Clay at Los Angeles Union Station the next morning, and they have agreed to spend a relaxing weekend in Santa Barbara. She is sporting a beautiful new coat and comes up to Clay. Clay is on the platform, checking his ring box and mentally preparing for a proposal. He takes note of the new coat and asks Christine what happened to her old one, and Clay informs her that it was unheard and gives her the envelope with the button in it. She mistakenly picked up rare coin she gave Clay. Christine panics and steps backwards from Clay, falling onto the train tracks, and as the train approaches, the ground starts cracking around her, and Christine is brutally dragged to hell, screaming to Clay for help. Clay frozen in fear, as his girlfriend disappears.